My fiancée Vanessa raised her champagne glass at dinner and announced, "I've decided to hyphenate with Trevor's surname. It opens more professional doors." Everyone at the table laughed. I laughed too. But that night, I updated our wedding website. Groom attendance uncertain. Updates to follow. By morning, her mother Patricia was calling like I'd declared nuclear war. "What exactly does that mean, Austin?" Vanessa demanded, waving her phone at me over breakfast. "My cousin Bridget just texted asking if we're having marital problems before we're even married." I stirred my coffee slowly. "Well, if you're taking Trevor's name, I figured people should know where things stand." Trevor, her ex-boyfriend from college, the pompous finance bro who still sent her LinkedIn articles about networking strategies at 2 a.m., the same Trevor who'd been mysteriously appearing at her work events lately, always with that smug grin and his rolled-up sleeves showing off his expensive watch. "That's not what I meant, and you know it," she snapped. But I was done pretending. 3 years of engagement, 2 postponed weddings, and now she wanted to publicly announce she'd rather carry another man's name? The same man she'd been consulting about her career prospects every Tuesday evening? "Patricia wants to meet for lunch," she continued, "to discuss this like adults." Adults. Right, because adults definitely announce their intention to take their ex's name at family dinner without running it past their actual fiancé first. I added another update to the wedding website. Venue capacity reduced. Guest list under review. My phone started buzzing immediately. Her brother Derek called first, then her father William. But the best call came from Trevor himself. "Hey man," his voice was all fake casual confidence. "Vanessa mentioned you might be having some pre-wedding jitters. Totally normal, but maybe we should talk." "About what exactly?" "Well, you know, making sure everyone's on the same page about expectations going forward." Expectations. Like the expectation that I wouldn't notice him picking her up for those late Tuesday business dinners. Or the expectation that I'd just smile and nod while she essentially announced our marriage was a professional inconvenience. That evening, I overheard her on the phone in the bedroom. Her voice carried that particular tone she used when she thought she was being clever. "Don't worry, Trev. He'll cave eventually. He always does when I apply the right pressure. Some tears, maybe cook his favorite dinner. Men are so predictable." Trevor's laugh came through the speaker. "Good. Because honestly, V, I was starting to think you'd actually go through with this whole suburban housewife thing." I stood in the hallway, listening to my fiancée and her ex plan my emotional manipulation. The wedding website suddenly felt like the least of their problems. I smiled for the first time in weeks. Not this time. The next morning brought Vanessa's full theatrical performance. Tears at breakfast, passionate speeches about our future together, and the sudden appearance of my favorite homemade lasagna. "I think I expressed myself poorly at dinner," she said, dabbing her eyes with a tissue. "The hyphenation thing is just professional. You understand how important my career is, right?" I nodded sympathetically while updating the wedding website again. Catering order reduced by half. Menu simplified. Her phone exploded with notifications. "Austin, what are you doing?" The tears were gone, replaced by something sharper. "Reflecting our changing circumstances. If half the marriage is about professional networking with your ex, maybe we don't need the full celebration." Bridget, the cousin who'd texted first, arrived that afternoon with coffee and obvious curiosity. She positioned herself at our kitchen counter like a war correspondent. "So what's really happening here?" she asked, glancing between us. Vanessa launched into damage control mode, but I had my own agenda now. "Just making sure everyone has realistic expectations," I said. "Did you know Vanessa's been having weekly business dinners with Trevor? Apparently, he has insights about her career path that I lack." Bridget's eyebrows rose. Vanessa shot me a warning look. "Those are networking opportunities," she said quickly. "At 9 p.m. on Tuesdays, every week, for 3 months." The math hung in the air. Bridget sipped her coffee with newfound interest. After she left, Vanessa tried a different approach. Seduction. The low-cut dress she wore to our first date, the perfume that used to make me forget everything else, the way she positioned herself just so when she leaned over to serve dinner. "We're good together, baby," she whispered, her hand on my chest. "Don't let outside stress ruin what we have." Outside stress. Like Trevor wasn't currently texting her about tomorrow's client consultation dinner. But I played along, kissed her back, let her think her plan was working. Meanwhile, I made another website update. Bachelor party canceled. Funds redirected. The calls started again immediately. This time, Patricia didn't bother with pleasantries. "Austin Douglas Patterson, you stop this nonsense right now." Vanessa is beside herself. "About what specifically?" "You're embarrassing the family with these website updates. People are talking." "Good. They should know what they're celebrating." The family BBQ at Patricia and William's house that weekend was supposed to be my execution. They'd arranged it like an intervention, with cousins and friends strategically positioned to apply social pressure. Trevor showed up uninvited, wearing his weekend uniform of expensive casual wear and that practiced smile. He worked the crowd like he belonged there, accepting congratulations on his recent promotion and making jokes about helping old friends navigate career transitions. When he approached me by the grill, his confidence was nauseating. "No hard feelings about the career stuff, right? Vanessa's got real potential. Hate to see her wasted on." He gestured vaguely at my middle management life. The entire patio went quiet. William paused mid-flip of the burgers. Patricia's wine glass froze halfway to her lips. Even the kids stopped running around. I smiled at Trevor, then turned to address the crowd. "Actually, since everyone's here, I should probably clarify something about the wedding." Vanessa's face went pale. "The venue's been canceled. Turns out the bride's been too busy with career development to focus on wedding planning. Right, honey?" The silence stretched. Then Trevor made his fatal mistake. "Come on, man. Don't make this bigger than it needs to be." "Don't make what bigger? The weekly dinner dates? The career counseling sessions? Or the part where she announced she'd rather carry your name than mine?" Patricia's wine glass shattered on the patio stones. Vanessa ran toward the house, but I wasn't done. "Trevor's been very generous with his time, very hands-on with his guidance, really above and beyond what you'd expect from a former boyfriend." William dropped his spatula. The kids were hustled inside by their parents. Derek stood up from his lawn chair. "And Trevor?" Trevor finally dropped the friendly mask. "You don't know what you're talking about." "Don't I?" That's when Vanessa came running back outside, tears streaming, grabbing Trevor's arm. "We need to leave. Now." But I followed them to the driveway, along with half the family. Because sometimes the best revenge is simply telling the truth in front of the right audience. Following them wasn't planned. But when Vanessa grabbed Trevor's arm and practically dragged him toward his car, something clicked into place. 3 months of Tuesday dinners, career consultations, and professional networking suddenly crystallized into something much clearer. I caught up to them in the parking lot of Morrison's coffee house, where they'd apparently driven for their crisis management session. Through the window, I could see them in deep conversation, Vanessa gesticulating wildly while Trevor leaned back with that same casual confidence. I walked inside. "Mind if I join the strategy session?" They both froze. Vanessa's eyes went wide, but Trevor recovered quickly. "Austin, look, man, I think you've got the wrong idea about what? About you picking up my fiancée every Tuesday for 3-hour dinners? About the career advice that requires late-night phone calls? Or about how she's more excited to carry your surname than mine?" Other customers were starting to stare. The barista looked like she was considering calling management. But I was beyond caring about public scenes. Vanessa found her voice. "You're being paranoid and embarrassing." "Am I? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like I'm the only one who didn't know about your relationship status." Trevor leaned forward, his voice dropping to what he probably thought was a reasonable tone. Vanessa and I have history, sure, but we're just friends helping each other professionally. Friends who plan futures together? The silence stretched. Then Vanessa made her second fatal mistake of the day. It's not what you think. What I think, I said, loud enough for the entire coffee shop to hear, is that you've been playing house with your ex while planning a wedding with me. What I think is that you announced you'd take his name because in your mind, you already belong to him. Trevor stood up abruptly. That's enough. Is it? Because I haven't gotten to the part about the weekend getaway you took last month. The one you told me was a work conference. Vanessa's face went dead white. How did you… LinkedIn photos are public, sweetie. Trevor tagged himself at the same resort, same weekend. Funny coincidence. The coffee shop had gone completely silent. Even the espresso machine seemed to pause. Trevor stepped around the table, moving into my personal space. You need to calm down. Do I? Because you need to stop pretending you didn't plan this entire thing. Plan what? Taking my fiancée. You've been working on her for months, convincing her that her future is with someone more successful, more connected, more everything than me. His face darkened. Maybe because it is. There it was. The truth, finally out in the open. Vanessa gasped. Trevor. What? You think he doesn't know? You think he can't see that you've outgrown this whole suburban fantasy? That's when Trevor made his biggest mistake. He put his hand on my chest and pushed. Not hard enough to really hurt, but hard enough to make his point clear. The coffee shop collectively sucked in its breath. I didn't push back. Instead, I smiled. Perfect. Now everyone can see exactly what kind of man you really are. Because half the family BBQ crowd had followed us to the coffee shop. Patricia, William, Derek, and at least 6 cousins were standing in the doorway, watching Trevor put his hands on me while defending his relationship with my fiancée. The crowd from the coffee shop started pulling out phones. Trevor realized his mistake too late. That wasn't… But Vanessa was already grabbing his arm again, pulling him toward the back exit. We need to leave. Now. As they rushed out, I called after them loud enough for everyone to hear, Don't forget to update your relationship status. The coffee shop erupted in nervous laughter. Patricia looked like she'd swallowed something toxic. Derek was shaking his head in disgust. But this was just the warm-up act. The wedding was supposed to be that Saturday. Vanessa spent the week alternating between panic and rage, calling everyone she could think of to control the narrative. But the coffee shop incident had done its work. People were talking. Thursday morning, she tried one final negotiation. Okay, fine. No hyphenation. We'll do whatever you want for the name situation. Just fix this mess. I was updating the wedding website one last time. Event converted to farewell celebration. Groom departing for new opportunities. What does that mean? She demanded. It means I got the promotion in Denver. The job I'd interviewed for 6 months ago, the one she'd convinced me not to take because it would hurt her career prospects in our current city. The one I'd secretly accepted 3 days ago. You can't just leave? Why not? You've already moved on. Might as well make it official. That Saturday, at the venue we'd booked for our wedding, I threw the party anyway. But instead of a ceremony, it became something else entirely. The guests who showed up were confused at first. Where was the bride? Why was there no altar? What exactly were we celebrating? I stood up to address the crowd just as Trevor and Vanessa arrived together. They'd obviously planned to make a joint appearance to control the story one last time. Thank you all for coming, I announced. I know this isn't what you expected, but I wanted to celebrate new beginnings. Vanessa tried to signal me to stop, but I was just getting started. Some of you know that Vanessa and I have had some differences about our future together. What you might not know is that she's already chosen her future. I gestured to Trevor, who was standing frozen by the entrance. Trevor and Vanessa have been planning their life together for months. The weekly dinners, the career counseling, the romantic getaways disguised as work conferences. They've built a beautiful relationship. The crowd murmured. Some people pulled out phones. And today, I want to officially release her to pursue that happiness. Vanessa looked like she was going to faint. Trevor looked like he wanted to run. But before I do, I thought everyone should know about the conversation I recorded last Tuesday. I pulled out my phone and connected it to the venue's sound system. Vanessa's voice filled the room, crystal clear. I can't wait to get out of this engagement, Trev. Austin's sweet, but he's so limiting. You and I have real potential. And Trevor's response, just a few more weeks, baby. Once the wedding's canceled, we can stop pretending. The crowd erupted. Patricia shrieked. William started toward Trevor with murder in his eyes. But I wasn't finished. The best part? Trevor here has been documenting their entire relationship on his private Instagram, including the photos from their romantic weekend at the Cascade Resort. I'd spent the last week building a portfolio of evidence. Screenshots, receipts, timeline correlations. Everything laid out like a prosecution case. So congratulations to the happy couple. May they build the professional power marriage they've always wanted. That's when Vanessa completely lost control. She lunged across the room toward me, screaming about how I'd ruined everything, how I was vindictive and small and pathetic. Trevor tried to grab her, but she spun around and started screaming at him too. About how he'd promised this would be clean, how he'd said I'd never figure it out, how everything was ruined now. The entire wedding party, both families, all the friends, the vendors, random plus ones, stood there watching my ex-fiancée have a complete meltdown while her affair partner tried to calm her down. It was beautiful. But the real masterpiece came when Vanessa's phone started buzzing. Then Trevor's. Then half the room's phones started buzzing at once. Because I'd also sent copies of everything to her boss, her company's HR department, and the professional networking group where she'd been building her reputation. Oops, I said. I may have accidentally hit send all on a few emails. Trevor finally found his voice. You vindictive piece of... What? I'm just helping with career transparency. Isn't that what professional networking is about? Vanessa collapsed into a chair, sobbing. Trevor was frantically trying to call someone, probably his own boss. The families were in complete chaos. And me? I picked up my pre-packed suitcase from behind the bar, walked to the exit, and turned around one last time. Thank you all for coming to celebrate the end of my biggest mistake. The bar's paid for until midnight. Enjoy yourselves. As I walked out, I could hear Vanessa screaming Trevor's name, Patricia demanding explanations, and the general chaos of two families realizing they'd been played by the sweet, boring guy they'd all underestimated. The last thing I did was update the wedding website one final time. Mission accomplished. Website permanently closed. Then I drove toward Denver, leaving them all to sort out the mess they'd created. Some revenge is a dish best served cold, but sometimes it's even better served publicly, with receipts and with a microphone.